Hey everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rizin podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin, and I'm joined by two very special guests today, two returning guests. With us, first we'll be talking to the current Rizin featherweight champion, Yutaka Saito, who will be taking on Juntaro Ushiku at Rizin 31 at the P Arena next weekend. And this will be his first style event since becoming champion last year. Saito-san, thank you so much for your time talking to us about your fight. Really appreciate it. Arigatou gozaimasu.
来週その初めてのチャンピオンとしての、タイトルマッチということで、時間をくれてありがとうございます。
My first question to you is, let's talk about your fight that happened with Vugar Karamov. And I have to really ask about that fight because tell me your reaction to the, I guess I'll say blatant and not so blatant fouls that were happening during the fight. Were you shocked that he was grabbing your shorts and digging into your wounds? And just tell me about your reaction to the way he was fouling in that fight.
まずその前回の試合のカラモフ選手との試合に行きたいんですけど、なんかショーツとか掴んだりして、着ずになんか指をさしたりとかしたと思うんですけど、それについてなんかその感想を教えてください。
そうですね、結構いろんなことをやられたんですけど、映像にもいろいろ残ってるんですけど、なかなかやりづらい相手で、試合自体がすごく難しい試合でした。はい。
So he says, yeah, you can see it on the video as well. It was a very, a lot of stuff happened during that fight, and it was a very, how to say, not very fluent fight. Like it was kind of hard to like a difficult opponent.
When the fight ended, did you think that you had won the fight? And I just also should mention that he was deducted a point for the fouling. So, but I mean, in the end, did you think, as the judges were reading the decision and they were saying split decision, do you think that you were worried that it might have been a loss for you?
相手はマイナスポイントマイナスされたんですけど、試合が終わって勝ったと思いましたか？なんかスプリットディシジョンということで、なんかちょっと心配してたんですか？
ちょっともうちょっとこう反則とかなしにやり合う展開になったらよかったなと思ったんですけど、相手に減点がいったり、展開的に結構荒れた試合だったと思うんですよね。自分が流血してたのもありますけど、個人的には負けはないかなと思いましたけど、ジャッジの判断なんでどうなんだろうっていうところです。はい。
So Saito-san says he thought like he felt like he probably won, but of course he had some blood on his face, and also it's up to the judge's impression as well. So he had hoped to be able to finish the fight without having any fouls or whatsoever. So, but he did feel like he probably won the fight.
Okay, gotcha. And so, you won the fight, and now you are finally defending your Rizin featherweight championship. I guess the first question I have is, how do you feel that you finally get to put up the title to defend? Get to show your first defense now.
初めてのタイトルディフェンスについてはどう感じますか？
そうですね、かかっている試合ですけど、今までと変わらず負けられない試合というか、今までも全部一緒なんですけど、負けていい試合は一つもないので、タイトル戦ということで、この試合に緊張感が出ると思うし、相手の選手もリップの現役チャンピオンの選手なので、すごくいい試合にしたいなって気持ちがあります。
So he says, it's not different from any fight in the sense that it's like no fight there's not a fight that he wants to lose, so he prepares for every fight the same. But of course this time, you're betting your belt basically, so he feels more nervous this time. So also because his opponent is the current deep champion, So yeah, he really feels like he wants to show a good fight this time as well.
I want to ask about that because it seemed like it was going to be Kleber. Kleber was going to be your opponent, Kleber Koike. But there seemed to be some issues with Kleber saying he couldn't make weight in time or something. I'm just curious to know, how do you feel that you're getting Ushiku instead of what I feel like would have been Kleber had he accepted the fights?
まあ、もともとクレブル選手との試合のはずだったんですけど、いろいろトラブルがありそうで、なんかクレブル選手がまあ、時間通りにそのウェイトカットできないとか、そういういろんな話があったんですけど、まあ、代わりにその牛久選手とやることになって、それについてどう思いますか？
まあ、そうですね、クレベル選手の件は、ライジン側も公表しているというか、流れで多分大きく違いないと思うんですけど、結局試合をやるかやらないかっていう判断の中で、やらないって言ったのは変わりないので、まあ、巡り合わなかったなっていうだけで、今も牛久選手に集中してます。はい。
Okay, so the fact is that yeah, Claver is already a fighter that's already in Rising for Ushiku Sensei. I think it's the first time in Rising. So yeah, I guess he was looking forward to it, but yeah, he says basically now he's fully focused on Ushiku Sensei because Claver, it was up to Claver to say whether he wanted to do the fight or not do the fight, and he said he didn't want to do the fight for whatever reason. So that's the outcome, and he's now fully focused on Juntaro Ushiku as his new opponent.
Gotcha. So tell me about what your impressions of Ushiku as a fighter are. Yeah, tell me what you think of him as an opponent.
牛久選手についてなんか感想とか知りたいって。
そうですね。頑張る選手っていう試合の中ですごくこう諦めずに頑張る選手っていう感じです。はい。
So he says his impression is that in every fight, it's a fighter who really works hard, so he really does his best. He's not gonna slack off or be lazy in his fight. So,
so how do you prepare with a fighter like that who is I don't want to say similar, that's the wrong word to use, not similar, but who is kind of yeah, he's I guess I can't think of another word, but yeah, he is very similar to you in many ways in terms of a fighting style. At least that's how I perceive it. But how do you prepare for that?
アンドリューが牛久選手のファイティングスタイルが斉藤選手と結構似てる印象がありまして、そうなんか似てるスタイルかなっていう印象がありまして、そういう相手に対してどうやって準備やってますかね。
そうですね。自分は全く似てると思うんですけど、まあそうですね。僕は何やってくるか大体こう予想がつくというか、まあ多分その彼の持ってる形っていうのもあると思うんですけど、まあ、その形に対して自分のそのスタイル、今までやってきた試合のスタイルをぶつけるだけだと思ってるんで、まあ違うことしてきても大丈夫なようにはしてます。はい。
So he's not sure whether he feels like his own style is similar to Ushiku Sensei's style.
I was actually about to say, let me just clarify what I meant by that. I meant that they're both all-rounders. Like I just don't consider them striker or just like grappler or just a wrestler. So yeah, you can clarify that for him, please.
Okay, okay. まずその似てるっていうことは両方となんか両者ともグラップラーだけではなくてストライカーだけではなくて、牛久選手も斉藤選手もオールラウンダー、なんかグラップリングもレスリングも打撃も全部やるっていう意味で似てますっていう感じで
理解しました。
はい。
My apologies sorry, go ahead.
So he just says like he knows like Ushiku has his own form, his own style of doing things in a fight, and he's just gonna prepare for that in the best way he can by matching something that matches his own style. So I don't think he's gonna tell you the details, but he says it's probably, you can kind of imagine what I will do based on my fighting style, or how Saito-san has been fighting so far.
Where do you think your greatest strength is when it comes down to against Ushiku?
牛久選手に対してのに比べると、斉藤選手の方がなんかどこが明らかに強いと思います？
スピードと技。
So he says speed and skill.
Speed and skill. And when you say skill, do you mean overall skill?
技ってなんか全体的の技、それとも寝技とか。
自分の方がいろんな攻め手が多いっていう。打撃も寝技もサブミッションも含めて。
So when he says skill, he means like he thinks he has like a he has like a bigger repertoire of skills or techniques that he can use. So he knows more wrestling, more grappling, more moves in that sense. That's his impression.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what's also interesting about the fight is that, as you said, this is his Rizin debut. This will probably be the biggest audience he's ever faced, he's ever fought in front of. Do you think that can also be a psychological advantage for you, since you've already had two fights in front of thousands of people versus him who hasn't? Do you think that could be a psychological advantage for you?
石久選手の方がライジンが初めてなので、こんな大きい舞台に出ることが多分初めてだと思いますので、そういう意味でもなんか精神的に斉藤選手の方が有利だと思いますか？
そうですね。イベントに慣れてるという意味では、戸惑いはそこまでありませんけど、僕の選手って若い選手なので、もしかしたら大舞台で力を発揮する選手なのかもしれないっていう、そういう頭は片隅には置いてます。そういう楽観しない。
So he says he thinks like, of course that could be a factor, like a big stage for the first time will make anyone nervous. But also on the other hand, Ushiku is very young, and there's a lot of young fighters who, like, actually on the other hand, get like more excited or who perform better on a bigger stage. So he says like he's not going to assume that he's going to have the advantage in that sense, because that it could also be the other way around, that for Ushiku Senshu being on a big stage for the first time actually makes it easier for him.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious to get your thoughts. Initially, so Ushiku, when he was being that he's a deep featherweight champion, he almost lost his championship to another fighter on this card, Nakamura Daisuke. And I'm curious to know, I know that you Nakamura, you haven't fought in an MMA fight, but you fought in grappling. Would he, if Nakamura wins his fight in Rizin, would you like to face off against him this time in an MMA fight?
牛久選手のこの間のタイトルマッチで、中村大輔選手とやってて、結構ギリギリっていうか、なんか結構結果的には近かったんですから、斉藤選手は中村選手とグラップリングで戦ったことあると言ってて、で MMA はないですね。そしたら今回同じ試合に同じイベントに出る中村大輔選手がもし彼もその試合を勝ったら次 中村大輔選手ともMMA で組んでみたい気持ちとかありますか？
それについてはあんまり考えてなかったですね。なんだろう。多分勝ち上がれば可能性はあると思いますけど、結構いろんな選手に名前出されてるとどういうふうになるのかなって。あまり相手で選ばないですけど、その時巡り合ったとやることになると思うんですけど、フェザー級でどういう試合、どういうパフォーマンスするのかなっていう意味では興味はあります。
So he says it's the first time actually he's thought about that. So of course he doesn't get to choose his opponents. So it's kind of a matter of who performs well and in the featherweight class, and the guys who fight well and go to the top get to challenge Saito champion. But he says, like, as an opponent, if he does well in his fights, he'd be, of course, be interested in facing him someday if
that's what
he gets offered as an opponent, basically.
No, it's just funny just thinking about that it's one of those I don't know how you would say in Japanese, butterfly effect. Had Nakamura had won against Ushiku, I think it'd be a different person on the other side of this graphic against Saito.
Okay. なんかその試合の今これを見てるんですけどここに牛久選手じゃなくて中村大輔選手があったらどうなるかなって思っただけって。
今結構フェザー級にいろんな選手集まってきてるんで、すごくいろんな組み合わせ見ると面白いと思います。想像するだけで。
So he says he's happy that there's now a lot of strong fighters in the featherweight division. So there's a lot of possible opponents for him, and he's excited about that.
I'm actually curious to know as well, since the state of emergency has been lifted for Tokyo, has that made training easier since that mandate has been lifted?
緊急事態宣言がもう終わりましたので、それで練習するのが楽になりましたか？それとも変わってないんですか？
ほぼ変わりません。ずっと1年と同じようなスケジュールで練習ができてます。
So he says for him, the past year, despite the emergency situation, he's been able to train with his schedule, and after lifting of the state of emergency, that really hasn't changed much.
Okay, gotcha. And so with this fight, I know you said before that you don't get to really choose the opponents, but you win this fight. If you had a choice in who you wanted, who would you ideally like next to face off against to defend your title?
まあ相手が選べないってことなんですけど、もし選べることができたら、この試合を勝って次誰と戦いたいと思っていますか？
誰だろう、全然こいつやらせてくれみたいなの。人はいないんですけど。
He says, yeah, he's really thinking about it very hard. He says, like, I've never really had this thing where I'm like, I really want to fight this guy or something. So he says, I don't really know.
Gotcha. I don't know. I don't want to choose for you. You don't have to choose now. Obviously you can think about this fight, and then obviously what's next. So I'm pretty sure whoever they put in front of you next will be a great opponent for you.
次の相手が誰でもいい相手になると思います。
そうですね。なんか勝ち上がってきた選手とやればいいかなと思ってます。ちゃんと
So he says he just wants to fight the people who fight their way to the top.
Gotcha.
He's fine with fighting the ones that.
And so just a little bit off the Kagutogi topic, and I have here. This is I want to ask. I didn't ask this last time, but I have to make sure to ask this now. I know in an interview, I can't remember where, but I know in an interview you actually no, I'm sorry, it was with our colleague from Australia, Combat Cat. You told you said to her that if you want to do pro wrestling, puroresu, but it's hardcore puroresu death match. I believe you said you want to do that for the Dai Nippon, BJW, Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Could you clarify, Anouk, that's what he said? He's smiling, so I think I'm on the right track.
So can you please rephrase your question once
again? I just want to know what makes him want to do death match wrestling.
あるオーストラリアのなんとかカットのインタビューで、プロレスのデスマッチやりたいって言ったんじゃないんですかってアンドルーが言ってて、なぜでしょうかねって。
大日本プロレスの社長とも親交がありますし、握手してるんで、選手を大満足で引退した後にデスマッチをやるっていう話を実際してるんですよ。なので、最近試合でも流血に多くなって、だいぶそういうのに慣れてきてるんで、選手終わってから、MMA 選手終わってから、記念に1試合ぐらいやりたいなと思ってます。
Okay, so he says he's been talking to I think the director of the pro wrestling organization, and they shook hands, and they've been talking about that after he finishes his career in MMA, he would like to do pro wrestling. Yeah.
But so we're talking, I guess, regular because I thought in the interview he had said death match. It was for the organization. It is a death match promotion. BJW, Dai Nippon. I thought I heard that promotion. So was that the one that he mentioned? Can you just clarify? Was that him?
指したのはその BJW なんかデスマッチの。
プロレスの社長、ストロング部門とデスマッチも2つあるんですけど、その新年会の中に呼ばれていて、で、デスマッチの方と、あと、ストロングスタイルの方たちがいて、で、社長が来て、で、僕デスマッチすごい興味あるんですって言ったら、じゃあもう終わったら決まりだねっていう、選手終わったらやりましょうっていう話をしたんです。
So it was kind of, well, serious, half not serious maybe, but like, so he spoke to the director of the general organization. So you've got the strong fighter and the deathmatch style. And he said there was one fighter from each style there, and he was there as well. And then he mentioned that he had interest in doing the deathmatch. So then the director was like, oh, okay, so when you're finished with your career as MMA, come fight for us then. And then he said, yeah, sure. So, but
I forgot they have a non-death match thing, but usually that promotion, when you hear that name, it usually means death match. That's what they're known for. Okay.
Has interest in the death match, he said, but it's not like anything has been decided. It was kind of like he mentioned, I'm interested in death match, and the director was like, sure, come here after.
So I'm just curious to know why Saito-san, you want to go into puroresu? Are you a fan of the sport? Is that something you've always wanted to do? Yeah, I'm curious to know why you want to go into puroresu.
斉藤選手のプロレスの興味について聞きたいんですけど、ずっとなんかプロレスに興味あったんですか？なんかずっといつかやりたいっていう気持ちは持ってました。
子供の時見たのがモニタースの電力爆発。あれがテレビで流れてるのを見て、こういう世界あるのかなっていうのは知ってましたけど、そこまでプロレスをずっと追い続けたわけではないんですけどね。FMW、はい。
Okay, so he says when he was a child, he watched some pro wrestling on TV, and that was the first time for him realizing like, oh, there's a whole world of pro wrestling out there as well, and he was very interested in that. But it's not like he's always been like, oh, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler, but he's always been very interested.
Okay. Well, it's possible, Saito-san, if you're successful in pro wrestling, you could be the next Funaki Masakatsu or Suzuki Minoru.
次のちょっと名前は覚えられないんですけど、その2つの次の ジェネレーションは斉藤さんになれるんじゃないかなと。
それ多いです。やりすぎるんで。
He says he's flattered. That's you're complimenting him too much.
Oh, no problem. No problem. No problem. So yeah, we'll wrap it up talking with you, Saito. I just wanted to get any last words, statements, comments that you have on your fight, as well as anything you would like to say about your opponent, positive, negative, neutral, as well. Also plug your sponsors and anything else that you want to give, if you want to promote. The floor is yours.
最後に斉藤選手になんか相手についてのいいこと悪いこと、何でもそれとも試合全体的に何でもコメント何でも言いたいこと大会っていうか普通になんか言いたいこととかあればファンたちに何でも自由に言いたいことがあればどうぞって。
そうですね。来週の24日の試合はメインイベントで、防衛戦っていう試合になるんですけど、普通のノンタイトルではなく、ベルトかかった試合なので、すごく緊張感のある戦いを見せれると思ってますし、会場で見てる方たちとか、ペーパービューで買った人たちに、ウォーって声を上げるような試合したいっていう気概を持ってやってるので、そこはちょっと楽しみにしてもらいたい、思います。必ず勝ちます。はい。
So next week, his fight is going to be the main event. And even though it's a title match, he wants to fight without showing any nervousness or whatever. And he wants to be able to show a fight that makes the viewers in the arena itself and the viewers who view from home online. He wants to really make everyone go wow. So yeah, he's going to do his best and show everyone a good fight, and he's going to win for sure.
I'm sorry, I did lie. I have one more question. I just realized it right now as I'm looking at my notes. How do you feel being on the poster for Rizin 31? That you the I Am a Champion poster. And how did you feel that you are not the centerfold? You are that they put you as the everybody else has little pictures, but you are as clear as day the biggest thing that on that poster. How do you feel about being the centerpiece of that poster?
すいませんですが、まだ一つの質問あるんで忘れちゃったんでポスターについて聞きたかったんですけど、そのポスターにみんなすごいちっちゃい写真あるんですけど、斉藤選手の写真はポスター自体になってるので、本当になんか明らかにメインイベントって感じで、それについてなんかどう思いますか？
すごくびっくりしました。初めて見た時、こういう感じになってるなと思ったんですけど、それぐらい最初側の期待を感じるので、これは重大責任だなと思って気が引き締まるものになりますね。はい。答えたいと思ってます。
So he was very surprised when he first saw how the poster turned out. So he was like, wow, this is how it turned out. And so yeah, this is how highly they think of me. So he really feels the responsibility to answer to that, to live up to those expectations, and he's going to do his best to live up to everyone's expectation and show a great fight worthy of being the event poster.
Great. Yeah, and you can see the Yutaka Saito defend his title for the first time at Rizin 31, October 24th at the Pia Arena MM in Yokohama. For us English viewers or international viewers, I should say in general, it will be available on live now with English commentary. And Saito-san, we really do appreciate your time talking to us again. And we're really looking forward to your fight. I think it's gonna be a great fight, and I really look forward to seeing how your title reign in Rizin. And I think it's gonna be a great fight just in general for the fans.
選手時間たくさんいただいてありがとうございました。試合にすごく楽しみにしてて、斉藤選手にその斉藤選手のチャンピオンの時代が続けるのがすごい楽しみにしてて、頑張ってください。
はい、頑張ります。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。 Anouk, if you are ready, we can switch over to you whenever you are ready. Saito-san is free to go now. He's no longer is obligated to do anything else here.
ありがとうございます。ここで終わります。私にも話したいか。じゃあ、こういう感じ。自分でやろうかな。なんか、わかんないんだけど。誰がね、これかな。なんか、聞こえるかどうか。あ、これでも聞こえるんですけど。I'm just wondering how to ここで、OK。じゃあ、こういう感じ。そう。じゃあ、私が。
Thank you. Whoever's holding it, I didn't get it. You can tell them thank you.
カッさんにもうちょっとしてくれてありがとうございます。
ありがとう。But Anouk, thank you for talking to us. This is your second amateur fight, right? I think. Ooh, am I on? Oh, sorry. Am I on? Am I? Oh, sorry. I believe this is your second amateur fight. Is that correct?
Actually, my third amateur fight.
Oh, my apologies.
It was an amateur all event. Second fight was in June, kind of like opening fight-ish. And this time also it's going to be an opening fight. So it's the third time.
Right. So I feel like, I can't remember the last time that we talked, but I feel like that was only a few months ago. Are you surprised that you're already getting another fight this quickly?
So the last time we talked was in June, just before my fight. And actually after it, I lost the fight, but after it was finished, they already like had an offer for me, which I was of course very, very happy about. Initially, it was an offer for the amateur event in September, but I actually injured my knee. And then there was an opportunity for this fight now, which is happening tomorrow, the Deep Tokyo Impact first round. And so we said, well, that will give me a little bit more time to heal my injury. So we were very grateful for the opportunity. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised that they came with an offer so quickly, even though I lost the last fight.
One of the interesting things about Japanese MMA just in general is that the losses, I would almost say, are just as important as the wins. It's not like in America, you lose your first one or two amateur fights, and then you never ever heard of it again, or pro fights. But what did you learn from that loss? Was there anything that you took away from that fight?
All the things, of course, because I'm just starting out in amateur, so I don't have so much experience. So my first experience was a win, and then my second experience was a loss. And actually, I injured my knee before the fight also, which had like not a physical impact as well, but also mental impact. So mentally, I wasn't prepared so well for the fight, and during the fight as well, I felt like I didn't give it my all. Like it's not like what people say. I couldn't like show my power wouldn't come out or something. It's not like that. Like it wouldn't come out. It's more like I didn't make it come out. Like I didn't have that focus, which had to do with the preparation towards the fight due to my injury. So I learned a lot from that, in the sense that for myself, the main point is like, when it's a fight, I need to go all out. I cannot be scared or hold back. Because this time I just didn't have a lot of confidence, and I really noticed that after the fight finished, like I could have gone much, I could have put much more effort in it, but I just didn't have the confidence, so it didn't go very well.
And so with this fight against Saki, are you working on all that stuff that you saw? I'm assuming we watched the fight. For this fight, are you what is it? Are you filling those gaps that you saw in that fight that you're talking about right now? Do you think that you worked great on trying to correct those errors?
It's hard to say. I've been trying, and I hope I've been working on it, and I hope it's going well. But I haven't really been able to test it on an opponent similar to Saki Senshu. So we're gonna see how it's gonna come out in the fight itself. Like I've been preparing to fight her and to do better than the things that didn't go well last time, to do those well this time, and I just hope I can show that tomorrow in my fight.
So I know that deep amateur rules are a little bit different. Is there any specific rules for this fight that like no heel, or is there no like leg locks, no heel hooks, or no elbows, something along those lines?
So no elbows, no heel hooks, and then there's no things like twisters where you can like basically like twist the neck. Also, no pounding to the face. So there's body pounding to the face for female MMA in deep is always after becoming a pro. So for amateur, there's no amateur rules allow any pounding to the face.
So when you say pound, you mean like hammer fists?
So when either player is in ground position, that means at least one hand flat on the ground. Neither player can aim at the other opponents or at each other's face.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
ground position is only pounding to the body, like everything below the neck.
Are you guys wearing kick pads? I think you were wearing kick pads last time, if I remember correctly, right?
Kick pads?
Or leg pads, or whatever
Yes.
they're called.
So there's no leg pads, but there's knee protectors.
That's it. I was trying to think of what you guys were sometimes that they sometimes wear in the amateur things. Okay.
It's semi-professional rules, which means you have the knee pads, and this time actually normally you have the pound gloves, like the thick ones. This time we agreed with Saki Senshu that we're going to use the professional gloves, so the thin ones. But usually for amateur rules, it's thick ones. But if both players agree to use the thin ones, then you can choose to change to the professional gloves.
And so, do you have any impression of your opponent, Saki? I'm guessing there's not. I think she's only had one fight, if I'm correct. At least there's one fight of her on record. Sorry, go ahead.
As far as I'm aware, she's had 4 fights.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know that. Oh my God.
So she's had 4 fights, 2 wins and 2 losses. And my impression of her is that, I've actually met her in real person. She seems like a really, really nice person. And my impression of her as a fighter is she is probably very strong. I think she's got a lot of power, like physical strength. And her striking is very aggressive. So she's not afraid to go in and come at in country. So yeah, my impression of her is like she's going to be a strong opponent.
Now, if you're facing somebody who you think is physically strong, what would you? So, where do you think a fight like that should go? Do you see would you want to wear out somebody like that, or would you want to try to get down to the ground where they can't really use their strength? Like, if you perceive them as that, like, how would you? Are you going to this fight with a game plan, or is it kind of like you're going to kind of decide the game plan as the fight's going on, the adjusts?
For me, I think I'm going to stick with the plan as we think of it now. Of course, if the fight is going to, the fight's going to go how it's going to go, and I'm going to react probably naturally to how my opponent reacts without thinking. But we have a game plan, and I'm just going to try and stick to that because I think that's probably the best way to try and win this fight.
Now, I don't know if Deep has talked to you about this at all. But if you win this fight, do they then is it like, oh, you get to go to the pro part of Deep now, or Deep Jewels Pro or something? Have they said anything about that at all to you?
Not yet, because I think in general the thing for Deep with the occasional exception, is that you first have to win 3 fights, at least in amateur. And then after that, depending on, I think, whether the fighter themselves wants to go on to pro, you can go on to pro. But
Oh, okay.
The rule is win 3 fights and then go on. But it has happened that, there's fighters who they really want to put out there as soon as possible. So even after not winning a single fight in amateur or after winning only 1 fight, they go on to pro. But that's like very rare. That's an exception.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. And so I know that you're a university student, if I'm correct, if I remember from our last talk. Yeah. So, you win this fight. I don't know what have you thought about, if you want to continue this, or, is this just like kind of like a bucket list thing? How do you foresee your Kakutogi career after this fight, if it goes in your favor?
It's a bucket list thing. I mean, I'm doing this because I'm really enjoying it right now. And if I win, and if it turns out that I can do pretty well in MMA, then I would love to continue and see how far I get. At this point, because like I said, there's nothing like it's not like I'm going to be like a pro anytime soon. So I'm just continuing this because it's fun. And should there ever be an opportunity to like continue with this like professionally or something, I would be very happy to try that.
You're at one of the top teams in Tokyo, so you definitely have a great support system. So you certainly listen. You do have the tools. You have the tools, and you have the people to back you up. So it's definitely, you're not training where in Gifu or Gunma or something where like probably there's not a lot to do, not a lot to adapt to, or not a lot to get better at, but you're at Cave. Cave's one of the best. You got Ishiwatari-san, you got Saito-san, a number of other people. Unfortunately, I can't think of them because it's almost 6 a.m. I'm very tired, but those two to help you. And just I want to know as well, what have you learned from people like Saito-san and Ishiwatari-san? Is there anything what do you think of them as? Is it fellow people in your camp, mentors? How do you think of them as them?
I mean, it's like you say, like I'm very lucky to be surrounded by all these like very skilled people. So it's a very very motivational environment to be in. So I really feel, like because there's like Saito champion, there's like a lot of strong fighters like Akira-san, Shimotari-san, like all these people who are training in the same gym, and it's very motivating to be like, if I do my best, maybe one day I can become like a person like them. So that's very motivational basically, and everyone's very kind always. So if there's something I don't understand, I can go ask like, hey, how do you do this move that you always do or something. So yeah, there's a lot of people I can get information and I can learn from. So yeah, I think this is a very great gym and a very nice environment to be into if you want to develop as a MMA fighter.
And so with that being said, I just want to give you an opportunity to same thing as Saito-san, if you got anything to plug, you're more than welcome to plug it, as well as if you have any last minute words for your opponent Saki, who you'll be facing off in I think tomorrow, I if my dates are correct. So yeah, you're really gonna be fighting tomorrow. Actually, let me ask this now, since it is tomorrow, and I've never really have talked to I have talked to fighters like like pro fighters, but curious an amateur, how are you feeling right now? Are you?
Right. I don't know.
That's a fair answer. That's honestly a fair answer.
I guess I'm nervous, but I'm also very calm. But being calm makes me nervous because I feel like I should be nervous. So I'm kind of in that state of mind right now.
I totally get it. No, I totally get it. I know it's the same. I get the same thing in jiu-jitsu competitions. First you're not nervous, then suddenly as you see your name come closer and closer to when you're going up, start to get nervous. As soon as you get on the mats, suddenly it kind of just like as soon as they say go, it kind of just I've had that feeling before, so I totally get it. But now I want to give you an opportunity if there's anything you want to plug, as well as any last minute things, any last minute comments you have for your opponent. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so my fight is tomorrow, and yeah, I'm very excited about it, and I hope this time I can, show everyone a fight that I can be proud of, and that, of course, I hope to win. But Saki Senshu is very strong, so I'm gonna have to fight hard. I'm gonna fight hard, and we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Everyone who is coming to watch or watching online, thank you very much.
So yes, if you want to see Anouk take on Saki, this will be Deep Tokyo Impact 21-21 first round. And it'll be tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, October 16th for us on the East Coast in Japan. It is available online to watch. I'm not entirely sure of the process of knowing how to watch it online internationally, but I know that there's some people who find ways. I'll just say that. But other than that, and also, and it will be on YouTube. It'll definitely be uploaded to YouTube at some point. So you can definitely check out the fight after it airs. But Anouk, thank you for translating. Thank you for talking about us with your fight. I look forward, hopefully, it goes your way. And hopefully, yeah, we'll get to see you, get to talk to you when you make your pro debut after this fight.
Thank you very much.
And we